Have you ever sent a file to someone and they responded that they couldn't open it? Or have you had trouble opening a file? You may have chosen the wrong software program to open it with. The wide variety of software available today means that there's also a wide variety of file types. Each software program has a different purpose and uses different code to run it. An individual software program can only open specific types of files, and sometimes other file types that are related to its purpose. But there's no single software program that can open all types of files. Knowing basic file types can help you determine which software and file type to choose in different computing scenarios. In part 2 of this video series today, we'll focus on reviewing, comparing, and contrasting some common document file types. Document files are the most common files used at most office settings or at college. They are typed up files such as essays, reports, resumes. They can even be signs that are meant to be printed out or documents meant to be read right on the screen. The most common software for document processing on a Windows computer is Microsoft Word. However, there are other software programs you can use to type documents with, such as LibreOffice, Microsoft Publisher, or Notepad. If you're using a computer manufactured by Apple, you'll likely use a software program called Pages. We're talking about document files, but it isn't as simple as there being one single type of document file. There are loads of different document file types. Let's clarify. There are 5 versions of Joe Smith's resume stored on my computer. You can see them listed here. Note the extension at the end of each file name. Those extensions tell you what type of file it is. The small icons at the left of the file name help you determine the file type too. Let's look more closely at Joe's files. At the top of the list is the file with the .doc extension. This was made with a version of Microsoft Word that was made between 1997 and 2003. The icon that accompanies it is a document with a white square and a blue blocked W. Just below that is the file with the docx file extension. This extension is used with documents created in newer versions of Word from 2007 forward. The icon for .docx has a dark blue square and a sans serif W as part of its icon. Why does the version of the software matter to the file type? In Word 97 to 2003, users were able to make impressive documents, but with the 2007 version, Microsoft made some major changes. Newer documents had even more powerful features that the older versions couldn't process. The change was dramatic enough to need a new file extension to distinguish between the older and newer files. Newer versions of Word can open older Word files, but older versions of Word may not be able to open the newer files. If this becomes an issue for you, there's an interesting tool in Word called Check Compatibility. You should check for compatibility issues if you're unsure what version of software will be used to open your document, or when you are sending your newer Word document to someone using an older computer. The compatibility check will analyze your document for compatibility issues that might be encountered if it's opened by a different version of Word. The compatibility check will also give you hints on how to resolve any identified issues. Let's continue looking at Joe's resumes. A PDF file, shown with the red icon, is a portable document format file. It's a file format created by Adobe that gives people an easy, reliable way to exchange documents, regardless of the software, hardware, or operating systems being used by anyone who views the document. We'll talk more about these files later in another video, focused specifically on PDF files, because this file type is so useful. Below the PDF, we'll see the Rich Text Format, or RTF file. It has a Word 97 to 2003 icon with it because that's the default software my computer uses to open RTF files. But newer versions of Word or even other document processing software can open it. Rich Text Format is no longer used since about 2008, but you might still occasionally encounter it in older files. Lastly is a .txt text-only file. There won't be any fancy formatting, colors, or images in these files. These files contain only plain text. Word can open text files, but so can the Notepad app on your computer or any word processing software. Note the icon for the text file looks like a plain sheet of paper with no special software icon next to it. So how do you choose which type of file you need for your document? Here are some tips. When creating a new document, most of the time you'll simply use whatever the default file type is for the installed version of your word processing software. The exception is if you're using accessibility software such as a voice-to-text typing software or a screen reader. In these cases, you may prefer to type up your documents in a text-only format. When opening older files, it's a good idea to use the Save As feature to update the file type to the newest file format. Now here's where things may seem strange if you're unfamiliar with file types. Depending on the final purpose of your document, you may want to save your file in its original format, but then save it a second time and change its file type to PDF or other more final file formats. Keeping the original file, such as Word, allows updates to be more easily made directly on the source file. You can always resave those updates into a final PDF later on. With practice and familiarity of the different file types, you'll be able to decide which format is right for your needs. But your format choice relies largely on the final purpose of the document. Imagine you've created a Word document. You'll want to consider, does this document need to be edited? If it needs to be edited further, don't change its file type. Word files are very easily edited. Will it be printed? Well, if you're printing it on your own printer in the office, there's no need to change its format. But if you're going to send the file to a commercial printer, they may prefer a PDF file. What about sharing it? Are you going to share the final file digitally? Are you going to email the file to someone? Do you know ahead of time who will receive it, or what software version they're using? If you're not sure of all those answers, a PDF file might be the better choice for you because it can be universally viewed by any operating system. Does it need to be protected from edits? You'll want to save it as a PDF file. They aren't as easy to edit and are a more final format. Are you going to be uploading your document to a website or a portal, such as a resume? Check the file type that they want to receive. They may likely want a PDF file and prefer it, but they may be able to accept a wider variety of file types such as Word documents or text files. Are you going to send the file to someone with an old computer? Remember to use your compatibility checker if you're using newer software, sending it to older computers. If you're going to be sending files between Windows and Mac operating systems, you'll always want to send PDF files because they can be read by anyone, regardless of the operating system. Microsoft Office is a productivity software package. It contains the word processing software we've mentioned, Microsoft Word, but it also has other software programs included in it, Excel, PowerPoint, Outlook, and Access, to name a few. Let's discuss different file types included in Microsoft Office. The software programs in Microsoft Office are designed to work together. For example, you may get a glimpse of an Excel spreadsheet when you're inserting a chart into a Word document. And you can import text you created in Word into your PowerPoint slideshow presentation. However, as I mentioned at the beginning of the video, each software has its own file type and corresponding file extension, because each software has different code that drives its performance. Here are some common Microsoft Office file extensions you'll encounter. XLS is for older Excel spreadsheet files. Newer Excel files have an added extra letter X at the end, .xlsx. Newer PowerPoint slideshows also have an extra X, .pptx. However, .ppsx is a specific type of PowerPoint file called the PowerPoint show. This shows on the screen and can be played, but can't be edited like a PPTX file can be. Microsoft Publisher, which is for more advanced desktop publishing, such as brochures and newsletters, uses the extension .pub. Access databases use the extension .accdb. And if you send someone an Outlook calendar invite for a meeting, they'll receive a .ics file, which is short for Internet Calendar Scheduling. Microsoft Office is a powerful software package, but there are lots of other useful file types you're likely to encounter. Here are just a few that may be used in conjunction with Office software or on their own. If you manipulate data from databases using spreadsheet software, you may encounter the .csv, or comma-separated values file. This is an interesting file type because it is a type of text-only file. Data is exported out of a database, and the data fields are separated by commas. Spreadsheet software, like Excel, is then able to import the data into a neatly organized spreadsheet for you to use to analyze or make charts from. It uses the commas, known as delimiters, or marks that separate data, to know when to move to the next cell on the spreadsheet. Websites use .html files, which use a special code to change text into website elements. MP4 and .mov are movie files, such as the movie clips you can post on YouTube. MP3 and M4A files are audio files, like songs you can download. Images can add eye-catching and educational content to your documents. You can also add your logo to your business documents to create a professional brand identity. We've created a separate video that explains the differences between the various image file types shown here. If you missed that video, follow the link in the corner to check that out. As with any time we're using a computer or the internet, you need to stay safe. There is a file type you need to be on guard for at all times. Executable files, or files with the extension exe at the end, have the potential to be very damaging to your computer. These files open other files and are usually used for installing software programs or other desirable add-ons onto your computer. You need to be wary, however, because they can also open viruses and other malware programs that can cause harm to your computer. Cybercriminals like to send viruses via email under the pretense of it being a document or a photo file that's attached. Always check the file extension before opening any file attachment from an email, especially if you were not expecting to receive that file attachment. Never open .exe files from unknown sources. Only open executable files that you expected to receive and that you received from a trusted source. Want to learn more? There's always more to learn about file types. There are so many types of files, we couldn't possibly discuss them all here in this video. Becoming familiar with what types of files belong to which software you use on an everyday basis is a great place for you to start. Learning which file types are compatible between the different software programs you use can help you be more productive in the workplace. If you encounter an unfamiliar file type, perform a quick web search for its file extension to reveal the facts you need to know. And remember to stay tuned for our next video, which will focus on the incredibly versatile PDF file. If you encounter an unfamiliar file type, you can also call our digital literacy program for guidance before opening it. Call 518-272-4210.